Now, evening everyone. This is Rob Lashley with MMORPG.com. Tonight I'm joined by Starr Long and Richard Garriott of Portalarium down in Texas and the East Coast. Since Richard is a virtual robot as well.
More often than not.
Yeah, you can actually see the robot lurking behind me, ever watching.
All right. Well, it's glad to have the three of you here then. And so you guys are Release 11. I think there's something that's really new that happened with this release involving Valve. If you guys want to kind of talk about that real quick.
Yes. About 3 weeks ago, we just as a test decided to see, basically what would happen if we put ourselves on Steam Greenlight, and with the goal that we've always wanted to launch on Steam, and we debated back and forth when was the right time to get onto early access or not. And so a few weeks ago, we put ourselves up on Greenlight on a Friday, and by Sunday we had been greenlit. And not only had we been greenlit, like if you looked at the curve of how many people we got to say yes, they wanted us on Steam, and the speed that they said yes, it was the highest curve that we could find, and also a highest percentage that we saw, where most of the greenlit projects had surprisingly had almost a 50-50 split between yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not interested, and ours was more like an 80-20 split. So that was very encouraging to us, and so then we went full steam ahead, you might say, to getting ready for Steam Early Access on November 24th. And in preparation for that, we gave all of our backers Steam keys to test in Release 11. So Release 11, we have about 7,000 players who are actually playing the game through Steam to help us test for Early Access launch next month. So that's you're right. That's probably the biggest new thing that's happened for us.
I am actually playing the game through Steam right now, just to kind of help test your product out for you guys.
Well, way to pitch in, Rob.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Exactly.
Yeah, I had to re-download the game, but I was like, it's worth it.
Well, thank you.
Not a problem. So last time we were together was 2 months ago. Release 10 was pretty much kind of a refinement of 9, so we really didn't get together for that one. But 11 is supposed to have some new player-generated content, and that's some of the stuff we're going to take a look at tonight.
Yep. So we're gonna do a kind of a whirlwind tour. We've got about an hour, and there's a ton to see between stuff that players have put together with the tools we've given them, plus new content that we've got in the game. One of the things you might notice if you kind of spin around and look at all the characters is we've invested a lot of time in increasing the amount of wearables that players can use and equip, and also the number of customizations they can do to their character of hair, facial hair, morph targets on the face, etc. So a lot of variety in the way people look, and just ever increasing. So of course,
something else, Starr, in the same vein as for also just standing here and looking around, you may see some people wearing some interesting headgear. You may see a tri-corner hat with a white front, kind of a Venetian Mardi Gras front on it. Those are people who have completed a specific quest here in this release that have earned that hat, and they'll have it. Only the people who finish that quest in this release will ever have that, and they'll have that persistently. At least, eventually I suppose they could sell them to each other or trade them amongst themselves, but they'll only be earnable or acquirable here during this release. And we're doing that now with each release. You'll also if you're looking around, you'll see some people wearing crowns of various types. And those are some of our dukes and lords who are not only our biggest backers, but our heaviest participants in many ways, actually. In fact, when we go do a lot of this touring, we're going to be seeing a lot of things that their guilds have built in the game with the tools we've been giving them here for the last few releases.
It's awesome.
Well, and while Richard was telling you that, I actually gave you one of those masks. And while we were talking here, I told everyone to start dancing, just because I could. So
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You're talking about the graphical changes, and so I've seen something that I haven't seen before. And that doesn't mean it was because it's new. Just maybe I was unobservant and didn't pick up on it. But this person has a lich fighter with him.
Yes. So we expanded the death magic school in this release. So now necromancers can summon skeletons and liches, and each of the schools has something they can summon, and there's sort of a peak summon. Like, so for in the elemental schools, you summon an air elemental or a fire elemental or an earth elemental, and the equivalent of that in the death magic is the lich. So yes, that person summoned their own lich. So that is new.
Very cool.
And we'll probably see more of that when we go off fighting. Wow, this is a huge crowd. This is what I get for broadcasting widely on the forums that, hey, we're going to be doing a live stream. Everybody should, if they want to be on TV, get in there. So this is our version of Good Morning America, I suppose.
There's the storms that you were referring to, the thunder and lightning and the rain. That's actually a healing spell that is good for a group. The soothing rains that can rain on entire parties of people that people are enjoying casting just as a way to modify the weather.
I like the windmill over there in the distance.
Oh yeah, that's actually another new decoration that we added to the game. And if we should go just run over and look at it real quick. But so we're in our game, even though it's a medieval fantasy, there is this kind of steampunk / clockpunk kind of mix of technology, and this is one of those examples. So if you want powered devices on your property, you'll need some sort of power generator. In this case, it's a wind generator, and that'll let them power things like wireless devices and lights and things like that.
And Starr, I don't want to go too deep in it now if you've got it further on your tour, but is this a good time, or should we wait to talk about the ethereal amplifier?
We have that's on one of our stops.
Okay, great. Then I won't go any deeper into it now, other than to have alluded to this mystical ethereal wave amplifier.
Okay, we're going to head into town, so if you can see me. Luckily, we're in a party, so my name is Green. So all the houses that we're running through and all the things that you look to right and left as we're running past, this has all been assembled by players by playing over the weekend. Oh, this was a new thing that we added too, was this chess set. So players, life-size chess set that they can play chess with each other. Again, just one of the many decorations that we added this release. We're going to keep running into town.
Yeah, it's a handy feature. If I click on your name in the party, you illuminate now, so it makes it a lot easier to find you.
Right, and you can right and click on Dark Starr and then select follow, and then you would then you don't have to. Then it's the it'll follow automatically if you so choose.
Actually, clicking on him is like trying to do Where's Waldo, because everybody keeps running in the way.
Yeah, and actually, come to think of it, we should make that real-time thing. You should be able to right-click. Oh, you can right-click on their name.
Yeah.
In the party window, although I don't see it giving me the option to follow at that point.
No, it's whisper, add friend, ignore, and block. I had to follow him by actually clicking on him.
Yeah. We'll make that a follow if possible. Unless there's any reason we can't, we'll tweak that.
See, community, they're listening.
All right. So our first stop is Matthew Garriott, and this is his little player-run business. We introduced cooking and alchemy to this release, and so this person, Matthew, has started his own business cooking and making alchemical potions. And
even though this looks like a modest little village house, in the next release we should have a bunch of more signs, so he'll be able to have better advertising out in front of his establishment. But I think you'll enjoy what he's built here on the inside. Oh, and he also happens to have a garden of very important plants here. He must have traded for these crops that you see just to the right inside the gate. These are the immortality fruit. It's a very rare thing. Only backers get these. He must have traded and absconded for to get this many. Usually you get one. It bears a single piece of fruit that is a full heal that you can then take the seed out of that fruit, replant it, and grow a new plant.
All right, and Matthew has made something for you, so he's gonna try and trade with you, I think. So this is his little shop. So he lives and works here. Again, these are all this was assembled by him. All the paintings on the wall, all the things on the floor, those crafting stations where he can cook and make potions. And I think he's going to trade.
Even though some of the objects you see in the room of these cups, plates, and bowls were cups, plates, and bowls that he just bought at a shop here in the world. But slowly but surely, all of the objects you see in here are actually being converted to things that you craft. And so slowly but surely, we as the company, as Portalarium, are withdrawing from the economy to leave the entirety of the economy, all of not only the advanced, but all the very basic pieces of equipment and decorations are all things that can be crafted in the game and will ultimately only be crafted by people in the game. So if crafters fail to make beds or mugs for a month, then the value of beds and mugs is going to go way up, and which will encourage more crafters to get involved in making those particular items.
Sounds great.
All right.
And I got some apple pie, some bread, focus potion, and a magic potion.
All right.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, and if you look at those things in your inventory, you'll notice that we have a maker's mark now on all items that players make.
I saw that it was tagged and said it was made by Matthew.
And by the way, that tag will remain with that object forever. And in the case of the food, of course, if you eat it, it will be consumed and will go away. But if that was a sword, for example, it will keep their maker's mark forever. And even if that person or you were to sell that sword back to a shop or lose it in a dungeon or leave it behind somewhere, then that maker's mark would remain with it. And so what that will mean is that swords you find later in your adventures in the dungeon as treasure on a skeleton fighter you might meet in the dungeon, they will have acquired that gear with that maker's mark from the game systems. And so items will live indefinitely with their known history.
That's a very cool feature.
Okay, we're going to stop. I said we were going to Bear's Tavern, but we're actually going to stop at Womby's bookstore, which... those tents to my right, those were new things we added this release. And I believe this is Womby... Ah, yes. This is Womby's... Viren and Womby's bookstore.
Little did they know that a company called Amazon is going to come out in a few years and put them out of business.
I think they get more than a few years.
Yeah, they've got about 500 more, and then it's lights out. Though you do have electricity, so...
Oh, that's a good point. But also, these guys, you never know. These guys might be the founders of said futuristic high-tech.
You just go straight ebook and never have to do books like 10 years from now. At that, we're on to something. So, Shroud of the Avatar release, or the 10th expansion ebooks are in.
Exactly. A little handheld e-reader.
No longer are they on vellum.
So I see he's...
As you see, Viren is taking you further in, and while a lot of these books, most all the books, the majority of books, will ultimately be player-made as well. And we don't yet have, it's in a couple of releases away, 2 or 3 releases away still, is the ability for players to write books. So most of the books in here, a lot of them are still blank, but there are some, there's a few dozen books in the game already. I don't know which, if any of these volumes here in the bookstore are already those. I'm kind of poking around myself to see if I can determine any. but slowly but surely, these books are all going to be deep and rich. For example, the Blade of the Avatar, the opening chapters for each, the opening paragraph of each chapter is already individual books within the game. We already have all the blogs that Fire Lotus is writing about stories of this island. Those are already published into books, and we're assuming players will do the same thing. That the logs of their lives and stories they wish to tell, they'll all be able to write into books and publish into the game. And slowly but surely, that's how all the fiction of the world will be of the world, by the people.
All right.
So will there be any kind of filter on that, or it's going to be no censorship on the books whatsoever?
Well, they'll be we'll do it just like we would handle any moderation, where if people report objectionable material, then the way it'll work is if you want to make a copy of one book, there'll literally be just one version of that book. Hold on, I need some little light here. But if you want to publish your book, like you want it to be and widely read, then what you would do is there would actually be a process to publish it. And at that point, before those books get multiple copies get dispersed in the world, we would have those reviewed just to make sure there's not necessarily anything objectionable. But mainly, just like moderation, we're going to rely on players looking at stuff and reporting anything that would be objectionable.
I think if you haven't already gone out of the building, it's interesting to point out the Shroud of the Avatar tile mosaic on the wall. I see you're right outside already. I see Dark Star.
I did actually look at that when we were in there at the very beginning.
That mosaic is actually a real physical mosaic. It hangs in the walls of Portalarium that we photographed and then applied to a texture in the game world. That was made by a member of the community, and now is also a piece of art in the game.
And we got another chess set where it actually looks like some people we're in the midst of a game. Some pawns are moved, and a rook.
I guess
I lied. That's a queen. Lord, I'm terrible.
Unless I read the directions incorrectly.
You passed a place down here at the bottom of the hill that was full of people, but let's see what that was.
Did I go to the wrong place?
No, that was a crafting area where I just went past that there were tons of people crafting.
Cool trees out front.
Is that a different type of windmill right there? I mean, it is a different type of windmill, but is that new as well?
I'm still catching up to you guys, so sorry I'm lagging.
Instead of having like the standard propellers, it's got the like the helix shape.
Yes. No, that one's been in for maybe 2 releases already.
Okay.
Yeah, the vertical rotation.
Oh, I see it. Okay, straight ahead.
But then we just pass it a little bit of an Asian flair to it. At least it's how it seemed to me. No, I lied.
Well, it's a Viking.
It's Viking.
Viking with a little bit of we're trying to mash up some cultural influences. So you'll see, like when we were in Arteris, you noticed last time. Oh wow, there's a lot of people in here. So these guys are a guild called the Bears Tavern Guild, and they run a player event every release where they do the Bear Tavern Brawls, and they're PvP fights with ladders and prizes, and it's great. Again, like all.
Yeah, in fact, I attended this Saturday, the Bear Tavern Brawls. Oh, there's a nice stage over here to get up onto for people who want to do this little Bardic. But those brawls, not only were they incredibly well organized, but they simulcast them too on the device that you'll hear about a little later. It really makes it extraordinarily magical.
Well, and everyone is here, so all of our big community members are actually here at the bar. So Amber Rain, who's across the bar, who gave the Chaos Sermon, I think one of the times we were doing our tour. She's here. We're going to be stopping at her place again later.
And she runs a website called Avatars Radio, and that was we have just truly an amazing community. There's really no word short of amazing that would be suitable. Not only are they of course supporting us and coming in here and playing this game, but we describe ourselves all the time as both crowd-funded and crowd-sourced. And when you have as many community members as we do, it becomes no longer that surprising, I suppose, that many of them are great artists, many of them are great composers, many of them are great coders, many of them other talents like being a DJ on a radio station, and so the community contributes all that into the development of the project as well. And Amber's work with Avatars Radio is phenomenal. If I could only convince her to come across the side of virtue, she'd be a perfect person. But sadly, she still follows Dark Starr and the ideals of chaos, which eludes me.
Well, I think she's trying to give me beer, so she's okay with me.
Oh, good. She's giving you beer.
Right.
I just sent out a request for beer. Okay, so we're setting up the next stop, and I'm doing whispers to one of our community violation, and he's asking if he should heal you, Buckthorn, or if he should let you die when we're trying to take the control point. I told him to heal you.
I'm also set up for heals, I think. I gotta go look and see how what my character's set up like. But yeah, we ought to try to keep people alive. I would suspect would be a good idea.
I'm used to dying, so I'll probably go out there and fight with my mug of ale instead of shield.
Nice.
Yeah, you can try.
Yeah. We'll see how many slugs I draw.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I'm going to teleport over to Veritas Pass, and then I'm going to summon you. Meanwhile, you can enjoy some ale with the dancing.
Indeed. I think Amber is, there we go, a nice mug of ale as well. Thank you. I have mine as well now.
What did you say her site was again? It was Avatar Radio?
Avatars, plural, radio.
Is that a .com? People are asking in chat on the web, on the Twitch.
It might be a .net.
I'll confirm it right now. Hang on, I'll go look.
It looks like Avatar's Radio is loading. Yeah, that's it. It's a .com.
Yep.
All right. / summon Buckthorn.
Oh, good. They're already on us. Starr, did you?
What? Oh no, because you're in the type / stuck, and you'll end up at the start point.
Yep. Hang on. I had zoned to you. It's loading again here now. We'll see where you're at.
All right, we have our healer. So this is one of our new maps. You'll notice it's also the first place we have weather. Right now, weather's just a visual effect, but this is a snowy mountain pass, and it's currently occupied by the
Dark Elves.
Dark Elves.
So you say that weather is just a visual effect. What do you plan for it to be more than a visual effect?
Well, here's one example. We're just now putting in a huge slew of crafting and recipes, and cooking is the one that in-house. And it's not in this build now, but it's the one I was working late tonight on with some of the artists and the other crew. And plants, for example, you only take a seed and plant it in the ground, a little shoot grows up, and then it takes either a bucket of water, or you have to water the plant, or wait for it to rain for that plant to mature and bear fruit. And so weather has a direct implication into the availability of resources. The same thing will be true for certain kinds of mushrooms will only spawn shortly after a rain, things of this nature.
I was thinking maybe wind would push you, but okay. That makes more sense.
Okay, Z to unsheath your weapon. We're gonna take the take the control point. Now we have so many people. I think this will be fairly easy, but let's go.
Oh, I've got my buckler, and instead of I was hoping that it would show my mug of ale in my hand, but it doesn't appear that way.
If you it should, if you should be able to put the mug in your hand now if you really wanted to, and you could fight with the mug.
Oh, they're asking you to call targets.
Me? You know, targets.
I'll do it for them. Okay, these are just some outlying patrols before we get to the main fortification.
And again, the way these control points work is these are purposefully set into places like high mountain passes where there's one route through the mountains here to get from one side to the other. So any player that wants to go from one side of the continent to another will have to go through one of these few control points. And these control points have little fortresses or other structures on them that can be held by one side or another. And when one side is holding it, you can't just pass through it without entering it and dealing with it. So the fact that this was controlled by the Dark Elves means that you cannot pass this pass until you or a group of players comes through here and clears this control point. At which point in time, you still have to hold it, because then wave after wave after wave of ever increasingly strong Dark Elves will try to retake it. And even if you have a very, very strong group of players, there's going to be some time in the day or night that it's likely that few enough people will be around that the Dark Elves will be able to retake this particular location. It looks like somebody either already opened the front gates. I don't know if you got to see that go up and down, or if it was open when you got there.
No, it was already open. And the flag was already standing here too. Did that appear once we?
Yeah, it looks like one of the people with us rushed ahead and turned that flag to blue, which is owned by we the players, the good people. Mm-hmm. And but by the way, now there's going to be waves of Dark Elves start coming in right now. So immediately, and you can see it if you look towards either one of the gates, the north gate or the southern gate. You can now see that there are Dark Elves coming in. But again, we've normally, by the way, when you enter a lot of these places, certain scenarios are set up to have a limited number of players in it. This, of course, we've had people manually teleporting to follow us because they want to be part of the event tonight.
Yeah, we've actually got more people than the elves will be able to take. So too many people got excited by the whole thing. So
can you blame them?
Yeah, no, I can't blame them. But I did want to show the control point, but it's going to be a kind of a cakewalk with this many people.
So maybe I missed it, but this control point, is this somehow tied into like just the overall story, or is this just like additional, just kind of fun kind of thing to do, or what's really the motivation behind the part of the gameplay?
No, it's definitely tied directly into the story, in addition to being a game mechanic. I mean, first of all, we really did want to make this mountain range a true barrier. And so by putting a control point in there, it means you are forced to engage in a certain part of the plot. And the story of the Dark Elves and the friendly elves happens near this control point. And so this is a way to really kind of see and differentiate between the Dark Elves and the Good Elves, and get involved in a part of the gameplay that illustrates that.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So were there actually just us and a party trying to hold this off, there might be some challenge. But again, people got really excited and they all jumped in. So we're gonna just move on then, because we're already at 9 o'clock. So.
All right, what do you got next?
We're going to head over to Solus, a place called Solus Bridge. So, Richard, if you could describe that while I do the logistics.
Absolutely. And so when you start the game, if you're familiar with the middle Ultimas, you're familiar that we often did a little psychological profile of you, the player, and we start you in the game both with a character that sort of matches our interpretation of your psychological profiling, and we often start you in a different part of the game to experience a different part of the story based on that. And we're doing that same kind of a thing here with Shroud of the Avatar. And so Solace Bridge is one of the starting areas, or will be one of the starting areas. And when you arrive, Solace Bridge is a place where you have a lunar rift. You saw one of those when we first started, one of those blue spherical locations. And that lunar rift is how you will arrive in New Britannia. And when you arrive, you'll see that Solace Bridge has just been through a battle. And so you're going to see the results of that battle all around you on this first time you visit this map. There's a town that's been destroyed. There's dead bodies all over the place. There's some dying people around. The forest nearby is literally on fire. A lot of the town and even the local environment nearby you is on fire. And this is kind of your first introduction to New Britannia, if this is your starting zone. Once you get out of this zone, once you learn enough to get started, with the game, and you leave this zone, and if you come back later, it won't be fresh after a battle. Instead, it will be some days or weeks or months after a battle, and you'll see the fires gone out, some regrowth starting to come back in, some NPCs starting to rebuild the town, etc.
Yeah, and if you look at these bodies that were passing by, so this is the remnants of this clash between an undead army and some villagers, and these are some of the dead bodies which you can morbidly loot. Of course, that there's some virtue lost when doing that, which the Oracle will be keeping track of.
So you loot all the dead bodies, is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I loot all the dead bodies because I'm chaos, but virtue is for the weak.
Always rubbing it in.
Yeah. So again, so this is.
Little does he know the price that he will pay for choosing such a path.
Okay, so now, you kind of get a taste of that. This is what I want to show you next is what this map looks like when you come back to it in the game later,
Okay.
Which is basically what we're trying to show is how the state of, because the way our different scale maps work, it's a way that we can show, because we have all these discrete zones, it's our ability to completely change the state of them changes dramatically, and is a lot easier to accomplish. So let me level. Oh, by the way, in this build, this place is flagged an open PvP zone, which is why everybody's killing each other right now.
And that's why I'm going to hide.
So, I'll summon you. Don't worry.
No, I got it already. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the same map that we were just in. Richard, if you want to zone to me and join us.
I'm doing that.
So this is the same map that we were just in, when you come back to it later in your gameplay. So same landmarks and everything, but the trees have had a little time to grow back, although there's still the burnout stumps and some of the burnout trees. But again, it's the same map, and again, same place, but a completely different state to it. So we can do that with things like.
In fact, there's creatures have begun to run over a bit. I see some wild spiders and things of that nature. Hey, Starr, I see some resources that have begun to regrow in here, too. I don't know if you want to talk about those.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Back over here where players are fighting spiders. In fact, I need to help figure these out because it'll be kind of hard to harvest the resources while you're under attack. But I see some cotton. I see some garlic and other reagents that have been growing out of the ground that you can, once these battles are over with, you can run up to one of these little cotton plants harvest this cotton, which you can then immediately take over to the spinning wheel and the tailor's table and the loom to spin the cotton into yarn, make that into cloth, make that into clothing and armor. And so that whole stack of activity is most of it, the big chunks of it are present, and a lot of it's still being filled out.
And you can also skin these spiders, field dress these spiders and get venom sacs and spider silk and things like that. So if they haven't all already been looted, you'll note when there's anything that you can harvest, a little symbol for the appropriate tool will appear over it. So
Okay, because I'm trying to find the cotton over here by the spiders, and I'm assuming that these white plants are not the cotton because nothing's prompting me to...
Yeah. Now you'll, sorry, I just took a cotton that was back over here. I still see one on the other side of the road. If you can see me, I'm walking, turn around, I am to your northwest, or at least it was to Dark Star's northwest. I'm standing here now by a cotton plant.
Oh, I think I see it. Now that I see it, I recognize it.
Yeah.
Kind of stands out there.
Just double click on it, and it'll automatically bring out, if Starr equipped you with tools, you'll bring out the tool and harvest that cotton, and then you'll see the cotton puffs disappear.
I've got tools, but maybe I don't have this tool.
Just double click.
Just double click on the bush. It should do it automatically if you have the tools.
Oh, this one's been harvested already.
Oh, okay.
Try this spider.
I did loot one of the spiders. I took a leg off it earlier.
All right.
Yeah, but you can also field dress it. So
I'm double clicking it.
Huh. Okay, yeah, the cotton must have already been. The cotton should have switched to a cotton budless state.
Yeah, I wonder why you're. So when you hover over something, are you seeing a tool and then like a tooltip that says like field dressing or gathering?
Nope.
Or not.
Or you'll have to watch us do it. I was able some animal hide scraps off this wolf that I just took down.
Oh well, let's keep going. So again, just an example of how we can have one map but have it in completely different and multiple states. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we are going to head over to
it's that purple thing over there in the distance in the looks like Stonehenge.
Oh, that's a lunar rift.
Oh yeah, so let's go over
actually,
there.
let's take that back. Great,
yeah.
Perfect. We're going to take that back to Owl's Head because we're going to leave Owl's Head and walk over to Obsidian.
So you'll notice, if you just double click on that when you get close to it, and you'll enter this lunar rift and travel through space and time, or at least space, to get over to Owl's Head, where we were earlier, where the Bear Tavern and the bookstore and the food shop were.
Oh, by the way, Violation just reminded me that the spiders are glitchy in this build. So, welcome to pre-alpha.
Yes.
So,
it was a good time. Back in those pre-alpha days.
All right. So
something else, Starr, I don't think I heard you say, but as we prepare to go live on Steam, when a Steam user joins us in something that's early access, it's fairly uncommon for pre-alpha MMO type products to come onto Steam Early Access, and so we think that the Steam users will sort of have an expectation that the game will be up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and so we want to make sure. Well, we've generally been only staying up for a weekend a month, and so our current backers are well aware of this cycle of third week of the month we're up for a long weekend, and we might be up a few other days in between, but really you should only count on it for that first piece of time. The reason why everybody's in the game right now is we're running. This is our first test of an extended, ambiguously long play session, and so we not only ran through the weekend, but we've just been leaving it up ever since. And so we'll see if and when we need to do our next wipe, but we're going to try to keep the game as as up as possible, as we push towards the going live on Steam.
Let it run until it breaks itself. Kind of like it just did. Oops, the game crashed. The crash
Uh-oh.
report folder named 2014 1028 underscore 2024 28 next to the game executable. It would be great if you'd send it to the developer of the game.
Don't bother. Unity makes us put that in there. We record all those exceptions automatically, but
Yeah.
Unity, that's an automatic message that comes out of Unity. So thank you, but you don't need to send those reports.
You're welcome.
And by the way,
go ahead and launch again, because I'd love to show you where we are in the outdoor map. Starr, I'm still here at
need to go north.
That's where it crashed me, going, I think, into the outdoor map, because it was like I faded to black, and then it logged me out.
That happens.